Okay, Ashley, I'm not gonna say your last name. I'll get it wrong. I'm graduating college and about to lose my job. I am going to have a $650 monthly payment for my loans, and it's very scary. How did you guys deal with loan payments or find different ways to unexpected problems? Do you guys have an emergency fund, and how do you suggest to keep in an emergency fund, or how much rather, for 1 or 2 people? Thank you for a great YouTube channel. I always love your videos. Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, as far as how much goes in terms of setting your cash savings in, that is really dependent on your lifestyle, your income, and whatnot. So that amount can vary greatly depending on lifestyle. Student loans, the only thing that's bad about that is that you have to pay it back sometimes. So even student loans, even if you're getting tax write-off on the interest and whatnot, you know, you're always better off paying it off. And so
$650 a month is like a mortgage payment. I mean, that's significant. Okay, not a mortgage payment, but a car payment, a decent car.
A nice car. There are a lot of people that have those types of student loans.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm hoping that because of your now college education, that you would be able to get a better job than the one you're losing.
And I would say for us, when we had student loans, we put everything we could toward getting rid of it as fast as we could.
Right.
And it was so awesome and freeing when we did it. It was
totally. We were in our lower, we weren't even 25 when we got it all paid off.
Because a lot of people, they just
drag it out.
Yeah, they feel like it's just going to be a part of their lives forever. Let me tell you, it does not have to be a part of your life forever. So. And
I think what's hard with student loans is that oftentimes, sometimes people get lower interest rate. Plus, you also sometimes get like income-based payments, so it's kind of small payments that you have to make, and then it's easier to keep it hanging for a long time. You know, just get rid of it and have your life free.
Yeah, so bonuses, everything you can for a while, just to
throw money into it, and go ahead.
It will be worth it.
Yes, it would be.
So hopefully you can get a great job and even maybe find other extra ways to make income and get rid of it. Okay, Anna A asked, ideas on emergency savings fund, how much should be in it?
I think that's a good question, but it would vary depending on your lifestyle and income. If you're trying to look for a target amount, I'd say maybe a couple months worth of income might be a good goal to start with. If that's huge, you know, start with 1, and then you can up that slowly if you still have debt. And take care of consumer debt, and then maybe try to build up a little bit more.
Okay, Jess Dosty said, we have been following the Dave Ramsey plan for the past 2 years and are debt-free all but our home. That's awesome, guys. We are now working to build our 3 to 6 month emergency fund. As a fellow large family with a larger than normal monthly expenses, we know what that's like. What are your thoughts on how much should be in our 3 to 6 month? And another question is, how do you budget for things like a newer vehicle, home repairs? I feel like if we can only put a little extra that we have monthly, we will never get enough. I know that feeling.
That is so true though. For the cash reserve, let me start with the first question there. I think basically, if I was gonna look at Dave Ramsey's plan, I think it would be more your net income, so how much you need to live or to get by for 3 months. So I think that's kind of basically there. In relation to the second question, how do you set money aside for other things and you feel like you couldn't get in there? There are some circumstances where you have to do what you think is right. Saving when you feel like you don't have enough. Again, budgeting, I'm assuming you're already doing that. Sometimes maybe more income. There are times that you might need to get a car loan. One of my principles with a car loan is, I think, if you have to take a vehicle loan, give yourself 18 months. I never go more than 18 months. If I have had to do a car loan when I'm completely debt free except for my house, but then I need to get a loan and I don't have all the money to pay it off, I have gotten a loan and paid off in 6 months or paid off in a year. You know, I think the thing is, if you keep the 48 months or 60 months that the bank give you, the dealership gives you, that's where we get into problems. But I mean, if you had to get a vehicle to get to work and live, get a vehicle, you know.
Yeah, but if it keeps you from making extra income.
Yeah, it's like it's being free, not being free to be bound again by other rules. It's just, you know, using your discretion. So I don't want you to feel bad about if you have to get a vehicle for your family, you know. But if you stay on with the plan that you have, you could get a vehicle and still pay it off quicker. I know Dave Ramsey says that you should start saving the payment amount that you intend. Coming. Yeah, if you know it's coming and you think like, hey, I'm gonna be doing $300 in payment, then start paying yourself, you know, to an account, you know. So that's a great way to think about it. Yeah,
yeah. We have been in the position before where we have had very little extra to set aside, if not any, and we know their big expenses do come. And the nice thing for us is our income fluctuates. So when it is bigger, we try to put that money away. But we've been in places where we just know we got to figure out how to increase our income too, because those, especially when you're a big family, man, the expenses that come are bigger.
McDonald's is not cheap when you have a big family.
We're talking about like things falling apart too. Like your van's bigger, but everything's bigger.
And even the general living expenses with a bigger family, it's not as, you know, it's like, oh, let's run to the drive-thru. I mean, that's just like paying for a nice restaurant.
Yeah, we've had to bring in more income sometimes in that position too.
And then you are already doing a great job by getting rid of debt. That's the one thing we've found to be helpful is like when you don't have payments, you could get by with a lot. And so when your income increases for one reason or the other, you know, at least you're ahead. But if you have a bunch of debt everywhere, it makes it even that much harder.
Yes. Nancy Wellen asked, how do you decide how much to budget for groceries? We really, that's a good question.
How much do you spend?
Do we need?
Yeah, so I think whenever it comes, and I'm gonna answer this ahead for every budget question that comes in starting. The starting point each time is you gotta look at what your actual expenses are. Not what you think you spend, but actually going back and looking at the last, say, 3 months, if you're not already budgeting. How much did I spend on this area? How much did I spend on grocery? So then know that amount. And then you can decide, do I want to keep it the same way? Do I want to adjust it a certain percentage? 10%, 20%, whatever. So that's the starting point of any budget at any time. So for anybody else as a budget question, when it's a matter of starting, that's how you start.
Like he meets with people all the time that they look at their budget and they're like, whoa, we spend that much eating out. Okay, that's a reality. That's how much we spend eating out, but is that what we want to do in the future? And then if you cut it all the way off, guess what? You're gonna fail.
I've had people in the space like, oh boy, after I found out how much I really spend eating out, I'm never eating out again. I'm like, no, you're lying. Because you're setting
it
up
might last like, you can maybe do it if you're real strong-willed for about 3 months.
The real question is, hey, here's how much I've been spending eating out. What's a realistic amount for me to set aside for eating out, and then start there.
And it can be real motivating. Like maybe you spend for yourself, you spend $300 a month eating out, and you realize, sorry guys, you realize I actually could be happy doing $100 a month eating out, and then look at that, it's $200 extra that you can put toward your debt.
And then again, you're
your whatever.
And again, you're the boss. So if you go for 3 months and you don't like it, you can make a little adjustments. You know, people always look at budgets as if it's a negative thing, and that's sometimes I think why we fail. If you look at it just as a positive thing, just something to kind of check back. It's not like you're a slave to your budget. I think it's more liberating when you look at it that way.
The hard part is when you don't make as much as you really need to live comfortably. That's when it can be hard.
Right.
And finding extra income can help a lot. Okay. Oh, there's some just nice messages in here. But Gary and Heather Bush, Heather writes all the time. I really appreciate Heather. She's so sweet.
Gary. Yes.
I love her comments. I look for them. She said, I'd love some encouragement for those of us living below our small means and sacrificing daily while friends and family eat out, go on big vacations, buy decor for their home, and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Christmas. God always provides. I'm so thankful and blessed, but this time of year is a lot about what people spend or want. That's true.
So true.
Very true.
Are you wanting to answer that?
Yeah. I think for us, not comparing helps a lot. It's everything. Let me just take one small part of that for an example. We have family that spend a lot more or do a lot more presents than we do for our kids for Christmas, and we have family that do a lot less presents than our kids. And it can be awkward if you're like doing Christmas morning and your kids have a lot less presents than the family members, or they have a lot more than the family members. And one way we have gotten around that, or we just have decided over the years, is that for Christmas morning, we usually just do ourselves, because then it's not like us feeling bad about how much we have, or us feeling bad about how much we don't give, and we don't really want to change it. We're comfortable with what we do. Yeah, and so just having that separation for that part, and just being comfortable with like what you decide you want to spend on your home decor, or how much you want to eat out. You just got to own it. And just be happy.
Be happy with what you've chosen for yourself.
Yeah, and knowing that in the future, you know, I'm not gonna say like, oh, you're gonna be better off than them in the future. I don't know how much they make. They may be way better off than you in the future, but you're doing what you need to for your future, and that's what's important, and for your family. And so I think that it's a balancing act. I think a lot of people deal with it, that their family either spends a lot less or spends a lot more, friends too, and it can be hard. But communicating a lot. We can't go out to that restaurant with you guys, but we would love to have you over. Let's each bring some dishes together and have a party. Finding ways around it so it can remain positive, but you can still be with your family and friends. Is a good challenge, I guess.
And then also let me add a couple of things on that, Heather, and it's not specific to your situation, but I think it answers a really general questions. I guess I've spent probably the last 15 or more years working on personal finance, actually more than that. But the last 12 I spent more one-on-one than ever with people. And so what I find oftentimes that happens, there's a lot of pressure too that comes with that, with the social element of money. And sometimes people that even seem like they're having it well, they're actually struggling to keep up with the pressures of keeping up with keeping up. And so I think finding your personal freedom, I like what Sarah said about owning what you've decided is right for you. I think it gives you some kind of comfort and peace inside, that you're not swayed one way or the other. You just have a much more sober understanding. But I could tell you without a doubt, and if I was to add up how many people I've met with over the last 12 years, 18, it overran to the thousands. So I've seen this situation over and over again. It isn't always what it looks like on the outside.
And actually you walking in confidence about what you're deciding to spend and not spend,
and who you are,
it might be a breath of fresh air and a real encouragement to somebody, or even those same family members, if they find themselves in a different financial situation a year or two down the road. They're gonna come to you. Like, you could be an encouragement and a blessing to other people just by saying, no, we're fine doing this. This is us, and we're good with it.
And try not to feel sorry for yourself, because you're doing a great job.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, Lakeisha Henry. Oh, I also love Lakeisha. How can I manage with one income? My husband is out of work right now. I'm the only one working.
Hopefully, Lakeisha, that the situation is temporary. And so that's one, I would say, hopefully that, and we're praying that a door would open for you guys and your situation will change. However, what I would add is, one of the things is that you would find there's always sometimes a blessing in disguise, because once you figure it all out and then your husband gets a job, if you could keep living by giving yourself a little bit break, but you keep living or learn how to live on one income, then the second one becomes a bonus, and you could actually get ahead faster. So don't undermine the time of hardship. Those times of hardships, they prepare us, they make us better in many, many different ways. But I'm praying for you and your husband that something will open up, and that this is I hope that it's a very, very temporary situation if he wants to work.
Taylor said, do you invest in the stock market? I've been playing around with the idea, but I'm leery of the risk. Sending lots of love to the tribe from Michigan.
Nice.
I love Michigan. Stock market.
Well, that's a good question. I think one of my philosophies with the stock market is really any amount of money that you feel like it will not alter your life much if you were to lose it all. And so I wouldn't put my livelihood on it. But if I have extra that I could put in, and I want, then go with something. You can go with some things that are conservative in the stock market, or get a mutual fund that you don't have to necessarily manage yourself. Figuring it all out, getting some help. But anyway.
Okay, Anita C asked, does any state assistant help with y'all's budget?
No.
Nope. Isella asked, I need help getting my husband on board. I imagine with money, budgeting, something like that.
If you want to get on board with money together, I think oftentimes you'll find that you need to be on board on other things as well. So maybe looking for things that you both like together, or trying to do things together, and money will just follow. But working on that, being on board on everything else, looking for areas where you actually agree on and you enjoy together, and spending more of your time in those things, then the secondary things like money will come into place when you're fully on board together. So.
Yeah, if you can communicate why you want him on board in a way he can listen and understand, that can go a long way too, but it's hard for us to help you without much detail. But
yeah, common things. If you have common things that bring you together, I would spend more time on those common things.
Yeah, and financially wise, one thing that can help you get on board together is if you have a common goal. So sometimes instead of starting with, we need to be on the same page with our budget, you could start with, let's be on the same page with our goals. What do we want? And then work backward from there, because a lot of times it's easier to have common goals, like we want to buy a bigger house, and then start solving the problem backward that way. That can help too. I don't know. Totally. I don't know if that'll help you at all, but. Okay, moving right along. Pam, you're a regular too. Thank you, Pam. I like Pam. This isn't quite a financial question, but here goes. I'm disabled and have applied for my disability on 3 separate occasions. Each time I was told I have waited too long, and yes, I had an attorney. Do you know of any other way to apply for Social Security disability? There's no doubt I will receive it because I have medical issues. Thanks, Solo and Sarah. God bless.
I don't think I can help you there, Pam. But maybe, I don't know, maybe a better legal counsel there than before. I don't know. I'm not sure. Because I think it can be so complex with government problems. So.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's
hopefully things work out for you sooner than later, Pam. Blessings on you.
Okay, Janine said, I'm unable to work due to severe disability. I've tried so many ways to work, but can't, as my health is very unpredictable. I'm in debt because I rely on it to help me get by. Do you have any advice?
Oh my goodness. Okay. That is hard. That is a toughie, because the debt is eventually going to catch up, and I hope you don't get to a point where you ruin your credit, and then that becomes something you can't repair. I wonder if there are some things you could do from home, or maybe, I don't know your situation, but I'm just praying that you would get some good ideas of ways, in this 21st century, there are so many other ways than conventional work that people can make money, and just finding if any of those ways could be one that would be good for you, that would not be hard on your health. So sorry to hear your situation. I would say that living off of the debt will not last.
We have a 3-year-old that's hungry. Keep going. I'm going to give her some. Keep going. Living off the debt.
Yeah, unfortunately, living on debt would not last a long time. It's going to come to a halt. I hope you don't get it to a point where it's irreversible. So I'm just praying that you can get some ideas on what you need to do on your situation. Yeah. Sorry to hear where you find yourself in right now.
Yeah. Okay, Lacey asked, how do you budget in a family outing? I probably know the answer, but you can probably have an idea or two with us owning a lawn care system.
Like vacation, Lacey, I wonder, but I think you're right. I think you know the idea.
We budget for all that
stuff. We do, and we've lived on self-employment for a long time, so we kind of know your situation. It isn't always the same every
And I
month.
imagine with lawn care, it's probably seasonal where you have more money or less money too.
Yeah, I will go to my very first question on the first video, if this happens to be on a different video, is that, you gotta look at what you actually make and then
and aggressively set aside the extra when you have extra too.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think it's important. I like her question because I think it's important to budget for family outings because a lot of people forget about it. Like we just put it in entertainment. So if we're eating out or we're doing something fun together, it's all the same. So maybe we ate our money that month, or maybe we went and did some fun things.
We ate our money that month?
Hey, that can be
I've never done that. Don't call me on this one.
But for us, it's all in one spot. But or we also budget for vacations. But our income, like I said, is variable too. So when we have extra, we'll set aside this chunk to take a vacation. But you got to think ahead about those things.
Yeah, exactly. You just read my mind. I was thinking, we don't just set aside when the money comes. It's something we already plan, so we know, hey, but we're expecting
when we
this
get
much.
We're
gonna put this much on vacation, this much on this. So it's preempted, so that when if you're getting a lot of money coming to you at once, it's already allocated.
Yeah, let me tell you. Let me just be real with you. We have long lists of large expenses that we want to take care of at some point. We have home renovation, trip to Kenya, like all of these big things. So we are constantly prioritizing what we're saving for, what we're gonna put money aside for. It's always prioritizing. So we may not have money for a new car set aside, but right now we have money for a vacation set aside because that's coming sooner than we think we'll need the new car, hopefully. Unless something happens, then that money is gonna go to a new car instead. Yeah. But it's like, we don't have unlimited income, so we're always prioritizing what is next, what's coming. Right. I mean, that has nothing to do with the question, but maybe that'll help.
But no, it might help. And so, because I could tell you this, is that all those things, all those savings items and goals are already listed. They are written. Yes. Okay.
And we relook at it and change it.
Yes, but I can tell you right now, they are not all funded. Nope. But so as the income comes, we know, we're gonna fill this one, we're gonna fill it based on priorities, but eventually it ends up working out. But you gotta be proactive, not reactive. Don't wait for the money to come in to decide where it's going. You spend that money before it comes, and it already has a place that it's supposed to go.
And when that money, when that money starts coming in, like say you're in your lawn care business and it's summer and the money's rolling in, if you haven't been very intentional about it, that money will go out just as quick as it came in. And that's why you have to, and for us too, we're trying to take like half of it to savings, half of it to fill these funds, half of it, like you have to be so intentional. And we're not like the 100% best at it too. It's always a work in progress and it's always reevaluating, and that's
being prepared. You're always gonna be better off than being unprepared.
Yes. And thinking ahead, like having a plan before the money comes. Yep. Okay, so
you can tell we've done this, right?
And we failed at it too, by the way. That's why we're experts now. No, I'm just kidding.
No, not even close.
Okay, Candy said, what can we do as wives? What can we as wives do if or when our husbands are reckless with the finances? I know so many Christian families that struggle with the man actually being the excessive spender and not open and honest about finances. What should a wife do in a situation like this?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. Because what makes it tough is that is the one word, the H word that you say when they're not honest with it. Because you really, unless that situation is dealt with, there's not what would wives do? I guess it was to you, not me.
Oh my goodness, you're the pastor. What would you say?
At least if they're willing to talk and getting to the bottom of why, because there's always, with what I've found is that many times with any behavior that is unbecoming in any sense, there's always the why, there's always the reason. And if you get to the point where people are honest, at least with the reason, even if they're not honest with the details, because sometimes people are not honest with the details not because they're trying to be dishonest, is that they might be maybe just be embarrassed about their behavior. To me, motive matters. One person might actually not be forthcoming, not because just because they are a dishonest person, period, and they may not be forthcoming because they're just embarrassed about their situation. Neither one is right, but to me, I think one is of a lesser problem. So if you get to the point of the whys and they can be honest at least with that, I think that's a starting point. Second thing is that you might want to talk to someone.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Don't solve it.
Third party.
A third party. If you have a good person, a pastor, or someone in your life that you trust, if you're involved in a church, for sure, if you have a good pastor, you could start somewhere like that, just talking to someone, and a lot of prayer, lot of prayer, because only God can really get to someone's heart. We could talk, but I can't change her heart, she can't change mine. So
I've seen women in this situation where they really just kept praying, and their husbands were not willing to meet with someone else. I think if they are, that would be the number one thing, because it is a serious thing. If the husband's just spending frivolously, and he should be taking care of his family, and he's not honest about it, like Silva said. But if he's not willing to even do that, I've seen women just really just keep praying and asking the Lord to intervene in the situation. And I've seen the Lord protect the wife, and the man comes to a point where he has to, where he has to change, and something happens. And the Lord protected the wife through it. And if there's abuse or anything like that, I'm not saying I'm not saying it like that
don't
should
take
be tolerated in any way.
If it's abuse, we don't advocate for any kind of abuse whatsoever, because that won't be anything that God would do anyway.
No. But it is really serious, and that kind of situation. And I think if it was me, I would be communicating with him a lot about how serious I think it is, and trying to get him to just see somebody else. And I would really be asking the Lord to intervene on his behalf. But that's me. That's what I would be doing.